My name is Edward Deats, and I was the chief hospital corpsman E7 on the Nimitz. We had, I was on board during the time that we filmed the movie The Final Countdown. I had a part in it. I had 3 on-camera appearances, 2 speaking lines, and my name's in the credits. So that was probably one of the most, one of the best times I had, highlight my career on the Nimitz. My co-stars were Kirk Douglas, Martin Sheen, James Ferrantino, Catherine Ross. I found out a very interesting thing, that James Ferrantino, we grew up in Brooklyn together. We went into the same bars. He's 2 years older than I am, and but we never met. That we know, but we knew people. We knew the bartenders, and we knew people, other people there. So which was really, we had some time. I can tell you, Charles Durning was one of the funniest men I ever met in my entire life. Kirk Douglas was one of the shortest people I ever, I didn't predict him to be that short. I had the concept that he was a tall guy. No, he was a short guy. Martin Sheen, hilarious dude also. Catherine Ross, very restricted. She wouldn't sign autographs and everything, Plus, she looks a lot better on TV, in the movie than she does in real life. Kind of weathered, It was a lot of fun. Number one, we had 3 chiefs in the department. We had a senior chief who had a full face beard. That kind of left him out, because back in 40, 41 and everything, sailors didn't have beards. Our other chief was a Filipino. Well, back then, Filipinos were only mess stewards. They weren't serving anything, so that left one chief in the department. They asked me if I would volunteer. I said, absolutely, absolutely. So I was selected. I had 3 on-camera appearances, 2 speaking lines, and my name's in the credits. I don't know if I mentioned that. I probably wrote it down. It was interesting because my scene was with Charles Durning and Kirk Douglas. Martin Sheen was off to the side. James Ferrantino and Catherine Ross were off to the side. Soon Tucko was the Japanese pilot that was killed in sick bay, who was laying on the deck. And the Marine, and Corporal Marine, who I can't remember his name, was a good friend of Ferrantino's. That's how he got the job. He was killed. So James Durning, I was standing in front of him, and he came up to about here on me, my chest. He's a very short guy, and he's I saw him, he's a method actor. So he playing the senator, and he's supposed to be very upset at the situation because he just got blown out of the water by a Jap Zero. And then he got rescued by 2 jets, and never seen anything like it. Never seen the carrier when he brought him in by helicopter, anything like that. And he was really upset that it was named after Chester Nimitz, who was an active duty admiral. You don't do that. And he's the senator, so he would have been involved in that. So he's supposed to be very angry, and they call Kirk Douglas down from the bridge to come down and talk to the senator. He wanted to see him. So he's standing there, and he's scrunching his face up and everything, just trying to psych himself up. And I don't know if you know, Charles Durning was a World War II hero. Bronze Star, Purple Heart, saw a lot of combat. And I'm looking at him, and he kind of looks up at me, and I'm kind of starting to giggle, smile and everything, And he looks at me and he says, "What the F are you looking at?" And he just cracked me up. Am I taking this wrong? He just cracked me up. I lost it. I turned around. Don Taylor, the director, was standing there, cracked up. Ferrantino cracked up. Let's see, what's his name? Martin Sheen cracked up. The rest of the people around him just cracked up. He was so funny, and he didn't really mean it, but he was helping psych himself up. And Don Taylor says, "Okay, come on, Chief, Charlie, get it together." And Charles Dorn, I called him Mr. Dorn. He said, "Don't call me Mr. Dorn. Call me Charlie." my name is Charlie. And so you get it together. So I come back and take my spot, and I'm standing there, and I'm just, I'm saying, okay, I'm just struggling to keep it together. And he looks at me, and he just gets this great big smile on his face, and I just cracked up again. And Don Taylor says to him, Charlie, knock it off. Let's get this film to go, So, and they got me wired for sound and things like that. So Kirk Douglas is supposed to come down from the thing. He's supposed to walk in, and I'm standing here in front of Charles Downey. He's supposed to walk in, and as he walks in, he's supposed to say, Chief, get the senator some clothes. And I say, aye, aye, sir, and I kind of turn and walk this way. He's supposed to walk behind me. The first take, walk in, he walks in, and he says, Captain, can you get the chief some clothes? And Don Taylor says, cut. And he goes, Kurt, you're the captain. He's the chief. Chief's the chief. Let's do it again. Walks back in. He says, walks back in. Says, Chief, can you get the senator some clothes? I say, aye, aye, sir. I turn around, and Kirk Douglas is right there. I just hit, I bumped him. Okay, cut, let's do this again. And Don says, Kurt, walk around the chief, because he's going to walk this way, right? We do it again. Take 3. Comes in, says, Chief, can you get the senator some clothes? He walks behind me, and I turn around, and boom, guess what? Kirk Douglas right there. Cut. Okay, let's do this one more time. And he's saying, it's not that hard. And I'm saying, I'm not having any problems. I know what I'm supposed to do, right? And he says, okay, Gert, go back out in the hallway, come on back in. And we got it. I got out of there. I didn't bump him. He didn't call me to that thing, and then I got back. So I walked down the passageway, and as I get down there, one of the staff hands me clothes, dungarees, outfit, shirt, and a pair of shoes. And I walk back, and I'm standing next to Ron O'Neill, Superfly, and he's the XO of the ship. Well, Charles Downey, as the senator, doesn't understand why there's an African American who's the XO of the ship. That's another thing that's. So I'm standing there, and Kirk Douglas and Charles Downey had their little interplay, and he says, okay, Senator, follow the chief, go with the chief, and I say, follow me, sir, and we proceed down the passageway, and then they cut that off. But I got to talk with Charles Downey and Martin Sheen and Kirk Douglas and James Ferrantino. Did I tell you already about Ferrantino? Yeah. Well, Charles Downey, I wanted to get a picture with him, and he calls Martin Sheen over. He said, Marty, come on over here. And so one of the other corpsmen was taking a picture, but Charles Downey like this wide, He said, you got to move together, And okay, so he turns to Marty. Is he ready, Marty? They put their arms around me, and they pull me in like this, So I got this scrunched up look in the other picture, and I keep meaning to bring it to one of the reunions, and I forget. But great people. Catherine Ross was, a little standoffish, a lot standoffish. Wouldn't sign autographs. Everybody else, I have a call sheet with my name on it, and all signed. It was an interesting time. I enjoyed filming the film. Got a kick out of it. They had me wired for sound. They forgot to shut off my mic. So when we broke for lunch, I was down to Chief's Mess, and we were just all BSing and everything, and it was all feeding back up to the group. They got on the phone and they called down and said, tell the chief to shut his mic off. Well, my mic, the unit is down here, but the mic is in my blouse, on the other side. And oh yeah, okay. Because I was screwing up their sound up there. It was funny.